Hello. So in this scenario, I'll explain you how to roll up the number of counts of the child records to the parent. So in this org, I have two objects. One is the contact. This is basically the person account, and I have an object called client request. So I want to roll up the number of client requests present under this particular contact on the contact form. So I have a field called request count number, and as soon as I create the client request over here, uh, this should increment as per it should basically increment the count. So if I have the one client request over here, so let me just save it. So this should show me as a one over here because I have only one client request. So how you will do that? So the one thing is having the master detail relationship between contact and client request, but that's the not case over here. So as you can see in the schema, I have the relation with with the contact as a lookup. So having the rollup summary field is not possible over here. The second thing we need to consider is using the configuration. Can we build this with the workflow, process builder, or flow? Of course, it's not possible with the workflow. With process builder, it's somehow possible, but it will not give the consistent approach. With visual flow, yes, it's better than the process builder because we can loop over the number of child records, and the very consistent and better approaches with the apex triggers that we can do. The main thing we cannot do with the pro of visual flow is when the client when this particular child record is deleted, we cannot trigger that for visual flow. That's the main disadvantage uh, with the visual flow. But in this tutorial I will explain how to count the total, how to roll up the total number of child records to the parent. This is of course possible with the apex triggers and it's the best way, but with the visual flow I will explain you. So now let's move towards the visual flow. So to create the visual flow, we need to search with floats here. Go to the floats. Let me create the new flow. So the approach I will be taking over here is we will be triggering this auto launched flow with the help of process builder. So I'm creating the auto launch flow here. So we are good. So as soon as we create the child record, we will be passing the parent ID to this flow. So in this case, I have the object called client request, and it will be having the parent object that is contact ID. So with the help of process builder, I will be passing the contact ID to this flow, and with the in under this flow, I will be looping over the number of client requests present under that contact and just incrementing that variable, and after that I'll be updating the contact record uh, with this particular total count number of records that we just calculated on the iteration. So let's start with it. So first thing we need to have the variable. I'll say it as contact ID. It's the type of text because it's just an ID. The default value will be null, and it's available for input from the process builder. So we are not outputting it, so I'm just unticking it. I'm clicking on done. So our variable is ready. First start. So I'm selecting it user or apps, no flow trigger. New or updated flow, I'm not looking at it, and also it's not a scheduled job. I'm clicking on done. So the next thing is I want to check if that contact ID I get is null or not. So I'm just it's a best practice to always look for if the value we are getting is null or not. So for that I'm getting the decision. I'm just dragging and dropping over here. Let's say config ID, and here the new outcome is contact ID not null. So here I'm checking if the contact ID passed from the process builder is null or not. So I'm just checking if it's not null. That means contact ID is null false. This is my new outcome. I'm joining these two over here. The next thing is getting all the child records, that is here it's client request. With the help of that contact ID we get from process builder. Yeah, I'm naming this particular process as capture all client requests. So my object is requests over here. I'm choosing it. So I want to capture all the requests which is having the which are linked to that particular contact that we get from process builder. So here I'm choosing as client contact. This is basically the ID equals the contact ID we get from process builder. So this will basically will get process builder. Sorry, this visual flow will query all these requests which are linked to that particular contact. Now I want all the records, and also I don't want all the fields. I just want the ID field over here. That's all, because we are just counting them. We are joining these two processes now, and here the outcome is contact ID is not null. So when the contact ID is not null, I just attach I just need to go to the get records process. Now the next thing is we need to store the count to a variable. So let's have the variable as let's say number of client client requests, and the data type is number. I don't want decimal places because it's a count, so I'm putting as 0, and the default value is 0. It's not available for input or output. Okay, variable is done. Now let's loop over these all the records. So I am dragging and dropping new loop. So iterate on request. Collection variable of type my object, that is request, that is from the that I just have the for loop over there. So having the request, capturing all this request from there. That's first is first to last, and my loop variable of type request object. So for that I need to create one more variable of type variable, and this time I name it as request because it's a single request. The data type should be of record now because it's a S object record and it's of type request. It's not again available for any input or output from and through the flow. So I'm just uncheck it and I'm clicking on that now. So now I'm joining these two loops now. Okay, so now we are so we have the for loop. Now it comes we need to assign the increment the variable that we just created, that number of requests. So I'm assigning that increment loop counter, and I want to increment this number of client requests that we created in earlier step, and I want to add one because when one request comes I just want to add one to this particular variable. That's all. I need to click on done, and we just need to join it, and for each item in the collection. Yeah, that's correct. As its loop we need to again join these two for loops. So when one item comes it goes to the assignment, that again comes back to the loop, and again and so on. If we have 5 or 10, it will loop around the 5 or 10 for 5 or 10 times. And loop has the one more arrow, which is for the last iteration. That is, once all the iteration every iteration done, it comes out of the loop. So at that time we need to assign that number of request variable back to the contacts field. So assign, I'm creating this new assignment as assign the request count to contact variable. So I want to have now the new resource as contact now. So let me create it. It's a variable, and this time I'm naming as name is contact. It's of type of record because it will be the type of contact object. So I'm clicking on done. So now I need to assign the first the ID. So the contact's ID will be equal to the contact ID that we received from the process builder. And again the contact request count. Request count number is the field on the contact, and to assign it the value of number of client requests. So that's all. We have the ID. We assign the contact ID to the contact variable, also the number of client requests to the request phone number field. So that's all. We done the assignment. We have the ID and the field value in order to update it, and I just joined loop to the assignment. Now the final thing is we need to update this record. So I just drag and drop the update records, and I am saying the update contact over here. So I just need to select the contact variable that we created in earlier step, and that's all. Click on done. I'm joining this too. So the whole flow is done over here. So everything is done perfectly fine. So now let's save this process. So let's say the contact flow. So the client request count on that. I just added the description and clicking on save. Now it's time to test the debug this flow. So I'm clicking on debug now. So before activating, it's always best practice to test that functionality if it's working or not. So I'm going to one of the contact. It's let's go to the person account first. It's not a person account, so let me find. So let me quickly create the client request over here. Just quickly save. So now we need to pass this ID while debugging this. So let me go to the debug section. It's asking for the contact ID. I'm just putting it and click on run. So yeah, if you see the debug, it started the process, the decision check. If the contact ID is not null, yes, of course we provided the ID, so it comes to the false, so it move to the next section. So here we fetched all the child records who is having that parent ID that we provided. Here is the contact ID. Yes, successfully found the records. Looping to now the next thing is it's looping through all the records which comes. So array of course start with index 0, so iteration 0 started. Then we assigned the value, we added the value 1 to the number of client records. It's the variable of type number, so we added 1 into it. And yes, of course, there was only one record in this contact we created. So of course the count the loop end over there, and it's updated that account contact record. So let's check if debug updates the record actually. Yeah, of course, yes, it's updating. The request count number is 1. That's we done with the flow part. Now in order to make it automate, we need to first activate this flow. I'm activating it. And in order to make it automate this functionality, we need to write the process builder. So whenever the new record is created, new record or any the lookup field is updated into the process builder, we need to automate this so that it can automatically call that visual flow and do this for us. So I'll show you in the next video. Thank you.